When someone wounds you, the natural instinct is to react, to lash out, to demand answers, to express your pain in ways that make your suffering visible. But this is precisely what gives them power. They expect your rage, your tears, your desperate attempts to make sense of their actions. When you refuse to give them this satisfaction, when you greet their cruelty with silence, you create an imbalance they cannot ignore. Silence is unsettling. It denies them the control they seek. It forces them to sit with their own actions, to wonder what you are thinking, to question whether they even mattered enough to hurt you. A person who causes pain often expects to feel important, even if that importance comes through negative attention. When you withdraw your energy entirely, when you refuse to acknowledge their betrayal with the reaction they anticipated, you strip them of that illusion. Silence is not passive, it is strategic. It communicates strength, self-pressure, and an unwillingness to be manipulated. It forces the other person into a state of uncertainty where they begin replaying their actions, questioning whether they miscalculated, and wondering if they have lost something valuable without even realizing it. The mind cannot handle an open loop. It craves closure, an explanation, a clear cause and effect relationship. When you do not provide that closure, you leave them trapped in their own mental labyrinth. By choosing silence, you also protect yourself. Emotional outbursts may feel justified in the moment, but they give the other person something to use against you. They may twist your words, mock your pain, or see your reaction as proof of their importance in your life. But when you say nothing, you give them nothing. You become an enigma, an unresolved question in their mind, someone they thought they understood, but suddenly do not. This is the true power of silence. It turns the tables, shifting the emotional burden onto the one who inflicted harm. In your silence, focus on yourself. Let the absence of your response be the loudest statement of all. While they are left wondering, you are already moving forward, untethered by their influence. And when they finally realize that their actions no longer define your emotions, it is then that they will feel the weight of what they have done. Silence does not mean weakness. It is the ultimate display of control. Predictability is a weakness. When someone believes they can map out your reactions, they assume they have control over you. A man who has hurt you expects a linear response: anger, sadness, confrontation, or pleading. The moment you behave exactly as he expects, you confirm his assumptions, making it easier for him to dismiss you, manipulate you, or move on without consequence. But when you become unpredictable, you disrupt his confidence, leaving him unsettled and unsure of his own power. The key to unpredictability is calculated inconsistency. One moment you greet him with warmth and indifference as if his actions meant nothing to you. The next you withdraw completely as if he no longer exists in your world. This sudden shift creates a sense of instability in his mind. He cannot categorize you, cannot define where he stands in relation to you. And when a person cannot define their standing, they obsess over it. Emotional detachment in moments where he expects an emotional outburst confuses him. If he ignores you, do not chase, match his distance with effortless ease. If he reaches out, do not immediately reward him with attention. Instead, let your responses be slow, measured, and varied. Some days offer polite but distant acknowledgement. Other days, do not respond at all. He will start to wonder, did she ever care? Does she still care? Did I misjudge her? This internal conflict keeps his mind occupied with you long after he thought he had moved on. Unpredictability also robs him of his usual defenses. If he expected a dramatic argument, he has likely prepared justifications, counter-arguments, or dismissive remarks. But when there is no argument, only a shifting energy he cannot grasp, he is left unarmed. He cannot predict your next move, and that alone will make him uneasy. This strategy is not about playing games, it is about reclaiming power. You do not owe anyone the comfort of knowing exactly where they stand with you, especially when they have hurt you. By refusing to follow a script they recognize, you force them into unfamiliar territory where they must confront the consequences of their actions on your terms, not theirs. And in that confusion, they will come to realize that what they once took for granted is slipping beyond their grasp. Power lies in reflection. When someone hurts you, they expect a specific response, either emotional outbursts, pleading, or visible distress. They assume they have gained control over your emotions, making you react in ways that validate their influence, but instead of giving them what they anticipate, turn their own actions back onto them. Let them experience what they intended for you, not through direct confrontation, but by subtly mirroring their behavior in a way that unsettles them. If he becomes distant, you do not match his detachment with an effortless disappearance of your own. If he withholds affection or attention, you do not beg or question, offer him the same coldness in return. He expects you to fight for his validation, to seek an explanation for his actions. But when you reflect his indifference back at him, he is forced to confront his own emptiness. He will begin to wonder if his presence ever mattered to you in the first place, if perhaps he miscalculated his importance in your life. This approach works because people are often unaware of their own behaviors until they experience them firsthand. If he ignores your messages, you do not retaliate with an angry demand for his attention. You let him taste his own medicine. If he acts as though he is unbothered by your absence, you must embody that same energy with an even greater sense of ease. The moment he realizes that you are mirroring his actions without effort or emotional strain, he will begin to question whether he was ever in control of the dynamic. Mirroring also disrupts his ability to manipulate. If he is used to controlling situations through hot and cold tactics, mixed signals, or passive aggression, your reflection of these behaviors will make them lose their effectiveness. He will begin to feel the very discomfort he intended for you, and in that discomfort, he will be forced to confront his own insecurities, his own fear of irrelevance. The key is to remain composed. This is not about revenge, it is about balance. You are not playing games, you are simply refusing to participate in his. By making him experience his own behavior, you remove yourself from the emotional battlefield entirely. He will come to realize that the very tactics he used to control you have now turned against him, leaving him lost in the very confusion he once sought to impose on you. Control is not won through loud declarations or emotional battles. It is established through restraint. When someone hurts you, the first impulse is often to retaliate, to confront, to demand recognition of your pain. But this response gives them exactly what they want, proof that they still have power over your emotions. True power comes when you control the narrative by refusing to engage on their terms. Instead of reacting, you dictate the emotional battlefield by remaining composed, unreadable, and seemingly unaffected. A person who causes pain expects a predictable response. If they betrayed your trust, they anticipate anger. If they pulled away, they assume you will chase. If they dismissed your feelings, they expect you to beg for their acknowledgement. When none of these expected reactions come, they are left in uncertainty, questioning whether they ever had the control they believed they did. Detachment forces them into a position of weakness. They must now wonder, why isn't she reacting? Does she not care? Did I misjudge her attachment to me? The human mind craves certainty, and when denied it, it fixates on the unknown. The more you refuse to confirm their assumptions, the more power you hold. They will replay their actions, searching for signs that you are suffering, only to find none. And in that absence of validation, they will feel the weight of their own actions in a way they never expected. But controlling the narrative is not just about withholding a reaction, it is about strategically shifting the dynamic in your favor. Instead of fighting for their attention, you redirect your energy toward yourself. Instead of proving your worth to them, you make them realize they were the ones being evaluated all along. By demonstrating emotional discipline, you force them into a psychological bind. They can no longer take comfort in believing they have left an irreversible mark on you. Instead, they are confronted with an unsettling reality. You are never as dependent on them as they assumed. And nothing is more disturbing to someone who seeks control than realizing they have none. This is not about pretending to be unaffected. It is about genuinely reclaiming your emotional independence. When you control the narrative, you do not need to seek closure from them. You create your own. And in that act of quiet power, they will come to understand that the only person truly in control of this story was you all along. The most powerful response to being hurt is not anger, not revenge, not even indifference. It is transformation. When someone wounds you, they expect to leave a mark, to see you diminished by their actions. They believe they have taken something from you, your confidence, your happiness, your sense of stability. The greatest way to contradict this assumption is to rise beyond what they ever imagined. When you focus on elevating yourself, you shift the narrative from victimhood to triumph, making their actions irrelevant in the grand scheme of your life. Pain, when used correctly, is a tool. It sharpens you, strengthens you, forces you to refine the parts of yourself that may have been neglected. Instead of sinking into the weight of betrayal, you channel that energy into self-improvement. You invest in your mind, expanding your knowledge and perspectives. You invest in your body, cultivating strength, beauty, and health. You invest in your presence, ensuring that when they do see you again, whether in person or through the echoes of your existence, you are someone they can no longer reach in the same way. Growth unsettles those who expected your downfall. If they left you believing you would spiral, it will disturb them to see you thriving. If they assumed you would chase after them, it will confuse them to see you focused entirely on yourself. And if they once believed they held a significant place in your world, it will shake them to realize that their presence was merely a fleeting chapter in a much greater story, one that continues to unfold without them. This transformation is not about them. It is about reclaiming your narrative, about ensuring that no one holds the power to disrupt your sense of self. When you choose to elevate rather than dwell, you prove to yourself that your worth was never tied to their actions. You do not need their validation, their apology, or their regret to move forward. Your success, your evolution, your newfound radiance is proof enough. And should they one day return, seeking to understand how you flourished beyond them, you will not need to explain. Your presence alone, your undeniable growth, will speak louder than any words ever could. The greatest revenge is not destruction, it is ascension. And in that ascension, they will come to understand that while they may have once hurt you, they never truly had the power to break you. The mind craves certainty. When someone hurts you, they often assume they understand the extent of their impact, that you are devastated, heartbroken, waiting for their return or seeking closure. They believe they still occupy a place in your mind, that their presence lingers in your thoughts. But when you remove that certainty, when you leave them questioning their own significance, you create a powerful shift in the dynamic. Nothing is more unsettling than realizing you are not as important to someone as you once assumed. Most people who cause pain do so with the expectation that they will remain in control. Whether consciously or unconsciously, they expect that their absence will create a void, that their actions will spark an emotional response, that they will still hold weight in your world. But the moment you detach and move forward without hesitation, you force them into an uncomfortable position. They must now wonder whether they ever truly mattered at all. You do this not by playing games, not by faking indifference, but by genuinely redirecting your energy toward your own life. You stop engaging in their world, stop seeking explanations, stop giving them any indication that their actions have left a lasting imprint on you. When you see them, you carry yourself with an air of ease, as if they are merely another passing figure in the grand scheme of your journey. You do not need to be cold or cruel. Your indifference is far more effective. The moment they begin to wonder if they were just a temporary figure in your life, their mind turns against them. They begin to replay past interactions, searching for proof that they once held value. They may reach out subtly, trying to gauge if they still have access to you, but the key is to remain unwavering in your detachment. Let them experience the weight of uncertainty, the discomfort of no longer being sure where they stand. This is not about manipulation, it is about restoring balance. You are not punishing them, you are simply removing the power they once assumed they had. And in doing so, you achieve something far greater than revenge. You leave them with the one thing the human mind struggles to accept: the unknown. They will question, they will regret, they will wonder, but by then you will already be far beyond their reach, too focused on your own evolution to ever look back.